All right, what's up, Gene?
What up, man? How are you?
All right, I'm good. It is toasty outside today.
It is toasty. What is the weather? It's got to be like 85?
Oh, it's at least in the 80s. I think it's headed to the 90s. It's supposed to be quite toasty.
Yeah, it is definitely hot outside. And here I am in jeans and stupidity.
All right, so what the heck you been up to for the last 2 weeks? I guess.
Yeah, last 2 weeks. Since
couple weeks
since we met last, I have done nothing car related. I've gone to some coffee and cars, but I haven't done anything car related at all.
Slacking, man.
I know. I feel bad. Now I do have to do my brakes. I've hit the squealers now.
Oh,
So I do have to do my brakes, but every time I'm like, okay, I got to take the time to do it. Nope, I got other stuff going on. I need the car running. So
you
I
got
can't-
pads already?
Oh, I've had the pads.
Oh,
Yeah, I've had the pads since before I went to Oregon.
oh, that's right.
Remember I took off the brakes, and our buddy was like, "Yeah, you got plenty of brakes. Put it back on in full send." I'm like, okay. Yeah, I've got to put the brakes on, which I didn't have any more of the grease in the back. So yeah, so I had to go pick some of that up. So it's just I'll probably try to do that tomorrow or Sunday. No, I can't do Sunday because we got the car show Sunday.
what car show?
The Renton one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You said a thing. I forgot that Sunday.
That's the one that Nancy and Ben used to run that one for many years.
You said that in the text, so that's interesting.
They were part of the team that founded it 30 whatever years ago.
So that's been a continuous running show?
Yeah. Yep. And they used to run it like they were the
Really?
heads of that whole thing. Yeah, for many years. And now they're just there in support. So I love Nancy and Ben.
Yeah, they're so good
They're
people.
just great human beings. So I want to be there to support them for their show and a school show to go to. And it's not very far from my house.
No, it's close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I have to see if I can swing that. I've got some things going on out there that are going to be consuming my time this
You should be
weekend.
done by that. I saw that. That's like a small project.
Yeah, small project. When you're doing it by yourself, that small project turns into quite a large project. I was telling the family last night, we're having dinner. I was exhausted. Yesterday I spent pretty much all day from like 8 in the morning until 7 at night working on that. I was super exhausted, and I came in and took a shower and resting, and Cheryl made dinner, and I'm like, you know what? I am so glad that when we built this house 12 years ago, I'm so glad I did it then, because the amount of work I did on that structure is nothing compared to what it took to build this house. And if I was starting the build project today on the house, I don't know if I could pull it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a beautiful house. I can imagine all the work you put into it.
my
You're
gosh.
still working on it.
I'm still working on it.
Still working on it.
I'm still working on
Well,
it.
why don't you tell everybody what you're doing out there? Just so it's not so nebulous.
So, when we built this place, one of my friends said, you need to build a big shop. And I was always going to build a shop. At my last house, I had a shop. The house before that, I had a little small, not a shop, it was like a shed. So I knew I wanted another big shop. And he's like, oh, you need to go big. Because the last one I had was like 20 by 20 was the last one I had. And I definitely ran out of room. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to like double the size of that one. I'll build a big shop. He's like, oh no, you need to do like 50 by 100, something massive. I'm like,
That's massive.
holy cow, that's freaking huge. At the time, I'm thinking about, I need to build the house, all the stuff involved in building the house, plumbing, electrical, flooring, like everything that's involved in building a house, clearing the land, building the decks, like all of this stuff you have to do. So I'm like, God, that's a massive project. No, I'm just going to I'll do a bigger shop, but I think it'll be fine. Yeah, so probably within like 2 years, I'm like, man, I need a bigger place. So I've now added on, I've got covered parking for heavy equipment. And then what I'm doing now is I don't like having my equipment outside, trailers included, because it just, man, the rain rain and the crap from the trees,
Yep.
and it just, temperature, the fluctuation, you get condensation inside out. I mean, all of that type of stuff. So I wanted to cover it. So I'm building a huge covered structure for equipment and trailers, and I'm doing it out of wood. I wanted to do it out of steel. I was going to weld it all up. Steel prices.
Bad.
Oh my gosh.
Because for a while, wood prices was ridiculous.
Wood went through the roof, right? During COVID, it was just stupid.
It was ignorant.
Oh my gosh. I know some people that were building a house, and their wood package, their lumber package, it doubled in price. Doubled. And the lumber package is pretty expensive. I don't remember what mine was for this house. But it was a good chunk of change. I want to say it was maybe $50,000, give or take. Theirs was more than double that.
Wow.
But
just for the wood.
Just for the lumber package. So I want to do it in steel because that would allow me to not have as many trusses. I could get away with much fewer trusses, much more open environment, but still was like twice the cost of what wood was going to be. Fortunately, I had to bail on that. So I'm doing it with wood. So that's what I'll be working on. Hopefully, by the next time we get together, I should have that completed. Hopefully. Okay, so you haven't done anything else. You've been slacking over there.
Slacking. What about you?
Well, we went to ORP.
That's right.
Yeah.
You and Dan.
We went
John,
Rob, Travis, and Roy.
Roy, new member.
Yeah, new member. He showed up. So we went down to ORP. It was great. I spent the night at the track. I didn't hear any monsters, trying to wake me up with any sound noises this time, which is nice. But John and Rob, they slept at the motel that's like in the town.
Yeah. And
Travis, he did a B&B 1 mile, like 1 mile from the track. And then Roy stayed somewhere. I don't remember where. No, Roy stayed the night at the track too. He had a little tent and that he popped up. I talked to him the next morning, and there's a box van that's sitting by the entry and exit where they like store like flags and that kind of stuff. Like it's like an equipment trailer, and evidently the door was flapping open, flapping off, flapping open, flapping off. All night long.
Oh my gosh.
And you know how windy it can get up there.
It got windy, yeah.
And I felt so bad because I'm like...
What's all those turbine fields are out there?
I know, that's why they got all those windmills. So he slept there. So I slept. It was fine. It was super cold though. Take a blanket. I just had the sleeping bag in. It was colder that night than when we were down there 2 months ago. Like a cold snap kind of came through there.
That surprises me.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly. Next day it was cold in the morning, but then it opened up. We did RP. They ran it in the opposite direction.
The direction I had practiced. Clockwise. That's great. They suck.
I did a track walk the night before. So I got there at like 5 or 6. I did a track walk. As I'm walking through there, I came to Gene's Corner. And I was like, oh, man, look at this. Like, if you stay on the left side, you have like a perfect turn to driver's right. So I was making these mental notes as I was walking through. It was kind of cool to walk the track. Evidently, it's not a problem. You can the night before, if you're spending the night, you can do a track walk.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of cool to walk it and see it down at that eye level. We get on the track. It was good. I was the only one in our group, in the advanced group. John, Rob, everybody. Oh, no. Rob ran the novice group, and then everybody else ran the intermediate group.
So this was a group, not like ours. Ours was
it wasn't an open track. It wasn't an open track.
Man.
So it was, 3 groups every 20 on the hour.
For the entire day?
For the entire day. So you
got
got
a lot of track time.
Still got a lot of track time. I think we got 7. I didn't go out for the last session, so because I make the drive back. But I think there were 7 or 8 sessions. So full day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot.
That's
I was tired. I was tired at the end of the day.
Yeah, you still had to drive home 5 hours.
I still had to drive home 5 hours. I know. I was exhausted. And I came back. I went back the way that you came down.
Yeah.
Because this was on a Monday, and so I was going to be hitting traffic coming through Portland and up by Fort Lewis. So I'm like, oh, crap. I don't
That
do
would
that.
have been brutal.
So I went the other way, and so that was a nice drive,
Yeah.
going the other direction. But I don't even know I talked about this. There was a storm cell that came through. Probably Rob and John, they probably missed it because they were out ahead of me, and I can't go as fast in the truck. A storm cell came through. On my way down there, I think I sent pictures where it sleeted on me.
Okay.
So on the way down there, I went 410 around backside of Rainier. Up at the peak, I got it was sleeting on me.
But that's the pictures of snow you had
Yeah,
sent.
the snow. There was
Yeah.
still like 6 feet of snow up there, but it was sleeting at the top. I come over, and it was out of nowhere. I'm just driving, 50 miles an hour, pulling the trailer. I come over the crest, and it's dark skies and just sleet and snow. Pucker factor went up a bit.
A little bit.
So I had to take the foot off and just coast and slowly slow myself down. So that was on the way down there. But on the way back, around North Bend,
Yo.
dark storm came through, raining so hard I couldn't even see. I had to pull over. It was that dark.
And North Bend gets really bad wind.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, the North Bend is got a lot of wind out there.
My
Just the way they are in the valley.
Oh man,
I
didn't like it.
windmills out there.
It was that was a bit scary. So I'm back to the track. So we ran clockwise direction. I like it better clockwise now that I've done both directions. I do like.
Why do you like it better?
So Valkyrie, the hill. So after that turn where you went off, when you go straight, it goes up and then bends to the left, and then it drops into like a hole, and then it makes a hard right. So when you come back the other direction, or when you're going that direction that we did counter, you kind of go up, and then you slide left, and then you have to drop down. So I'm backing off the throttle once or twice during that maneuver. But when you come the other direction, it's full throttle the whole way down.
Yep.
And so I like that better because you can just hammer it and go.
You're going uphill.
Because you're going
and
uphill.
You get full compression.
Lots
of grip.
It's great. And then the turn at the top is just a slight bend that to the right. So it worked. I like that. So that was one good thing I liked about it. And then the other thing is turn 1, which is after the straight. So you go down by the wall, the wall's on your left, you're going down the straight. So in clockwise, you go into turn 1, you can carry so much more speed down to turn 1, and then you're hitting that turn 1 at like 50, 60 miles an hour, making that turn. Whereas when you come the other direction, I'm slowing into like the 30s, 40s to make that turn to come back down the straightaway.
Yep.
I do like it. I was definitely running a faster lap time going clockwise than I did counter.
Really?
So I did. I enjoy.
I would assume that if there was a positive, there would have been a negative offset elsewhere.
Yeah, you'd think so, but
Yeah.
I felt more comfortable going clockwise, even though I'd never done it. I felt more comfortable in the car. I didn't feel any like unsettling. The after Valkyrie, when you're going backwards and you drop down, and the guy told us that example where the Porsche guy went straight through, up and over.
Yep.
So that thing, when you're coming counterclockwise and you're dropping into that hole, I'm losing a lot of time. I know I am, because I'm braking sooner than I want to. But when you're coming the other direction, man, you just come out of that turn and you just hammer it.
Yeah, but even going into Valkyrie, when you're doing that, when you're coming down, you don't need to brake as hard because that thing's going to compress hard.
It's going to compress, but
yeah,
it's a mental thing, right?
I know it's a mental thing. Trust me, I get it.
I know. So that was
Next
good.
time I did that track and we were going counterclockwise, will be mentally. It's going to be coming out of the half pipe. It's going to be stay left, stupid. Stay left, stupid. Stay left, stupid.
Trust
me.
On the video, it's probably gone by now. I've probably overridden it. But the first time I get on track and we're driving, I say on the recorder, "Hey Gene, this is your corner."
It's hateful.
I was going to keep.
This is hateful.
I was going to keep that for you, but
that's just mean. And I love it. That's great.
So it was a good day.
How the guys like it?
They loved it. John, it was funny. So John's favorite track is Laguna Seca, right? He loves that.
Yep.
After a couple times out there, John's like, he's like, "Dan, I see why you say this." He's like, "This is my favorite." So he loved the track. And he got a lot better too. It's funny.
It's a very technical track.
Very technical. John was he was off by like 15 seconds of my time. That's a pretty significant gap. But because we're in different classes, he couldn't follow me. So Travis was running pretty good in his CT5. So John got up behind him and started following him. He dropped 13 seconds by following Travis and figuring out, anytime you're following someone that's faster, you can gain a lot by just mimicking.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the day, John was hammering. Him and Travis were out there just like full sending it. They did really good.
Oh, yeah.
Roy was doing good. He drives well. And then Rob continued to improve his lap times, and he was out there competing with different people. So it was kind of a bummer we weren't all together on the track, but it's also nice because when I got done, I could sit there and watch the guys, right? So that was kind of cool. Such a fun event, man. I talked to the guy that runs it. They're going to do it one more time in September.
Yeah,
they're going
to make that one.
They're going to do it counter.
I'll still go. I am so. I mean, after I got back on the track later on, went back on after a couple of times of, okay, left, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Once it was ingrained.
Yeah,
stay left, stupid. No problems whatsoever. And then I was able to, as I'm coming over the crest and I start turning in, I'm like, floor it and go, because there it is. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So what happens when you're on the left? You take a long right-hand turn. You stay to the center track on the exit. So it's beautiful. So I look forward to doing that track again. I'd rather do it clockwise because I haven't done that one yet.
Yeah.
But I want to go back.
Yeah, we'll do that. And then I talked to, is it Ben, the new member, the guy that's got the carbon flash color on the CT5? It's got that fleck, the black.
Oh, that's the 5. Yeah.
Is that the 5?
Yeah.
So he's like, he told me, when were we together? I forgot.
Last week.
Oh, at the drive.
At the
cruise.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going down there with you guys. So he wants to go down with it. And David said he wants to go in September too. So
yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we have to get another big group.
He's going to bring his F8 or he'll bring his Porsche. He'll probably bring his Porsche.
Probably bring a Porsche.
Yeah.
So, so that's, I guess that's all. Well, we did the cruise. So we did a cruise up to freezing cold up top. I mean, for me it was.
Because somebody came without a jacket in the car.
Someone came without.
I'm not going to say who that was. I'm going to look at him though.
Yeah, it was a bit chilly. But that was fun. That was a fun drive. So I guess, that's what I've done.
So I had, we got Kelly and Marjorie Earl. They are, retirees, and he bought a green CT4-V dark emerald green frost car a couple years ago. His wife loved it so much, she drove it, and then he bought a black one.
Yep.
Right, and then now in March they picked up their Escalade V.
Oh, but he before that he traded his in on a special edition CT4-V Blackwing. So
he did?
I don't know if it was like the Road Atlanta or the Watkins or one of the three. Yes.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So he got rid of the black one, got the special edition.
Okay.
And then he got the Escalade V.
Well, so as we were driving up to Crystal Mountain, it's a one lane, and we were getting behind. We were stuck behind people and whatnot. When I could, I would pass whomever at high rate of speed, legal speed, of course.
Yeah.
Never would I speed above the speed limit.
No.
I would never.
No.
Never. But I looked back, and Marjorie was right behind me in that dark emerald frost, and she wasn't playing. She was flying.
Really?
A couple times I got a little pucker factor because she came up on my rear end really hot. But the cars brake so well. She late braked a little bit because she wanted to be kind of like John. She wants to be right behind you. She got right behind and she was driving that car like a beast. I was so impressed. I loved it because every time I passed somebody, I'd look back within a couple minutes or less. She was doing the same thing. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to see. She's like, nope, you're not getting away, Gene, and she'd catch me. I did do a little drag race with the guy with the triple black. Yes, we pulled up to a stoplight, and he was behind me. He pulled up next to me, and I'm like, no. Let's do it.
Where was this?
On the way to lunch,
okay.
Yeah. So this is before we got to Meridian. So I popped it into track mode real quick, or into V mode, which is pretty much my track setting, because I pretty much had the hit. So I took off right? I floored it. Boom, boom. I got into probably top of third gear before I shifted into fourth, and I was still beating him. So he was late on the light.
Oh, late.
And then
Reaction time.
The reaction time wasn't there, and he didn't catch me. Because remember, I'm 3.8 seconds, he's 3.6. Pretty darn close.
Yeah, they're close.
So if I get the hit, I'm going to stay there for a while. Now we pulled up to Meridian, and he was behind me. He pulls up next to me. I look over. He says, "I gotta get some redemption." I'm like, "Not on Meridian, we don't."
Yeah, no
There's
kidding.
way too many cops on that street. But he took off.
Did he?
He did take off, and I putted. Like if a cop sees me, they don't see me racing, because the rules out here, they'll take your car.
Yeah.
So I just popped it into drive and just grandma'd it over. So if any cop was seeing that, it was they saw one guy driving crazy and one guy driving grandma. So there was a big gap of our driving ability, or not ability, but how we were driving right then. It was fun. It was a good day.
Yeah, it was a good day. All right, so what do we have on
I
the
have
docket
today for some questions? I have a few of them.
Okay.
So I grew up watching racing, all kinds of racing, but let's talk about that. So, what's your favorite series? So you've got IMSA, you've got Indy, NASCAR, dirt track. What's your favorite type of racing? And then do you have any stories to share about within that racing?
We haven't talked about our origin yet, so
That is actually a question too.
oh well, yeah,
And maybe that's not for today.
maybe we'll see how it goes.
we'll see how it
But
goes.
because I'm late into the car world, I didn't really grow up watching the car stuff. Like I was on the motorcycle side. That's where I spent my entire life. I enjoy watching the IMSA stuff. That's cool. I mean, one, to support what Corvette's doing, as well as what Cadillac's doing. So it's cool to see that. And I like sports car racing. When you talk about the cars like LMP2, 3, the hybrid, though. I mean, those are cool and all, but I like the sports car because that's the kind of cars that you can buy and drive on the road.
Right.
I like watching IMSA for that type of stuff. I've never been like Indy, that's just never something I grew up with. NASCAR, now I grew up down south, and NASCAR is like football. It's like a religion down there, right? Just
100%.
It's crazy. Have we talked about NASCAR before?
No.
So I'll come back to it. I have a
we have.
story. I don't think I have.
Good.
I'll come back. I have a story about NASCAR.
Yeah,
and
I got
then,
one too.
And then the other is F1. So now I've always known, I mean, you can't not know about F1 if you're like into sports or anything. It's just, it comes up.
Any automotive sport, F1 is going to be
It's always going to
be around you to some degree.
It's going to be on ESPN or just something, right?
Yep.
So I was never a big F1 person. I knew the name Schumacher, right? I knew that name. But that's really all that I knew. Maybe Mario Andretti, but was that Indy? I can't remember. Did he do
both?
Did he do both? Okay, so I knew of F1, but I was not a fan. But just like probably how many millions of people got turned on the sport because of the Netflix series, I got interested.
Yep.
Now,
the Drive to Survive.
I will say that for me, there's a YouTube channel that does like an 8-minute summary. I like watching that because watching F1 live, like I got to go last year to Vegas, and I was in Vegas to watch it. They go by so fast. I mean, literally it was boring because they're going by zoom, zoom, zoom. And you can't, and if someone passes, okay, cool, they pass, and then that's it. You can't see anything. On TV, it's kind of okay, but at least now, maybe it's the same when Lewis Hamilton was winning everything. Man, when you got Max just leading everything, it's kind of like kind of boring. So
I agree.
I like F1. I like some of the drivers. I've been to Monaco, been twice on the track, and where they're tearing stuff down and when they've been setting it up. So that's kind of a cool thing. But those are the three series. But I'll tell you a story about NASCAR. I've never been a huge NASCAR fan, even though everybody in the South, not everybody, a lot of people love it. I like watching the crashes where people didn't get hurt. right?
I like the clarification there, where people didn't get hurt.
That's right.
Yes.
I don't want. I hate when people, no matter what kind of car that you're doing, if you get injured. So,
Yeah.
I grew up next door to the Greens, and so the Greens. My dad was military, just like me. Our neighbor, his name was Thurman, Colonel Thurman Greene. He and my dad hit it off because they're both military. So they hit it off, and his son, Kevin, was a pro football player. Kevin Greene played for the best football team of all times.
Oh my God. He didn't play for the Buccaneers, did he? Is that what it? Nothing? No?
I mean,
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead and say it.
he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were
Yeah,
going to say.
yeah, yeah. So it's cool that I grew up next door to Kevin Greene, to the Greens. Amazing family. Just, I mean, even after my dad got, stationed somewhere else, the Pentagon or somewhere, and I moved, we still kept in touch, did Christmas cards forever. Anyway, Kevin Greene would take me to go to NASCAR races. So it was really cool. The dude's he's an awesome guy, really cool guy. He would come over to play basketball, and it's like playing like LeBron, right? You got this big, because he was a linebacker. Kevin Greene played linebacker. Dude's a big dude, big, tall, muscle guy. And I'm this little kid, playing basketball. Anyway, he would take me to Talladega 500. I don't know if they still run this, but there's a thing called the Winston 500 also. I don't know if they still run that race now. It was cool. I got to go hang out with Kevin Greene, go to the races. And I remember sitting in the stands. I love the experience of being around. I don't know how many thousands fans go to Talladega. I mean, probably 50, 100,000. I don't know, a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot.
The ambiance is amazing, just off the charts, way better than the Rolex. I mean, just mind-boggling how many people there, all the craziness, everything. It's a show. It is a big show.
Yeah.
And it was cool to hang out there, but I remember probably 30 minutes, 45, an hour into this, I'm like, it's kind of boring. They're just going around in a circle. I never got into NASCAR. I enjoyed going to be around the show, to go with the people I was going with, but never really got into NASCAR, get into it. Yeah, so that's my series and my story.
All right. I grew up watching NASCAR. I did not grow up watching IMSA. I mean, like with you with F1, I knew about F1, NHRA drag racing. I watched a lot of drag racing, but I would go to my grandfather's. My grandfather's West Virginian, and so lived in Florida as well. And so I grew up every Sunday morning. If I was at my grandfather's house, me, my brother, my two cousins, Chris and Freddie, we'd watch NASCAR. That's just what you did at my grandfather's house. If there was anything else to do, it came after or before NASCAR. But when NASCAR came on, that's what you did. He didn't care if you watched it with him, but you shut up. When NASCAR's on. So we would go to his house. We watched NASCAR all the time. So I grew up watching NASCAR. Benny Parsons, Cale Yarborough, Earnhardt, all those guys. Harry Gant, 33 Skull. It was. So I grew up watching that, and I thought that's what racing was. Indy was very similar, right? Indy, lots of circle tracks. So I only thought of circle tracks. I never really thought of that. And I'm not saying there's no skill in that. There's an incredible amount of skill. Incredible amount of skill. But I never realized until later on in life that, there's a lot of skill. There's a lot more in a road track and a road course.
I don't know if I agree. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I mean,
I'll tell you why I think that, though. And again, I'm not knocking what they do there. My dad used to race cars, so that's what he did. I just think in a road course, you've got to contend with lefts, rights, off cambers, ups, down, uphill, downhills. Especially if you've got like an IMSA, you've got multiple classes all at once. So I think it just adds a different level of complexity to it. But regardless, so I grew up watching NASCAR. I've never been to a NASCAR event. So when I was working at Tech Data, right, the global distributor, I won a pair of tickets to the Indianapolis 500. To the Daytona 500. Called my wife. And I go, honey, I got tickets to the Daytona 500. It's got a hotel. They're giving us like $1,000 cash. It's up in the suites, a really nice thing. And the day before, we meet the drivers. We get pictures with them and jackets. It was a nice, really cool package.
Good package.
And she's like, yeah, we got plans that weekend. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Cancel them. She's like, we can't cancel them. I was like, no. Cancel the plans. I don't care what we've got going on. You're canceling the plans.
I like how you said, so what is it that we have going on so we can determine? You just said,
no, I just said
done
cancel
with it.
I did just say cancel. I don't care what they were. Just cancel them. And she's like, I can't cancel them. It's a surprise birthday party for you. Oh.
It was a surprise birthday party
No,
for you.
it was a surprise party. We had the party, and so I, yeah. So I ended up going, all right, fine, that sucks, but
Did you not realize that was your birthday?
No, I knew. I just didn't know we were having a party.
Oh,
so
was it a big,
no,
like a
just
big number?
Party. No, just a party.
Oh,
So it wasn't a lot of people, just a few people. I was
Yeah.
so surprised. I wasn't supposed to know about it. So I give the tickets to my boss, Ray. We're having the party, and my boss, Ray, calls me. And he's sitting in the stands, and you can hear him going, "Rrr, rrr." He's like, hey, man, thanks for the tickets, dude. I appreciate it. I'm like, screw you. Click, and hung up on him. And I love Ray to this day. He hired me at the job I was at. So I've known him for a long time. But I was really just beside myself that we didn't go. So fast forward a year later, Liz and I are at the house. We're watching the Daytona 500. And Liz, I guess she forgot that the previous year I had tickets. Because she goes, man, how much I would die to go to this race. And I just looked at her and said nothing. But the look she said, Gene, the look on your face was priceless. It was like, hey, stupid, did you not remember last year? Now, I would never say that, but that is what I thought, by the way. I knew better than to say it because I'm not stupid. But I did apparently give her a look that she went, oh, yeah, sorry about that. So, I'm big into NASCAR. But I'll tell you, it's been probably a decade since I've consistently watched a NASCAR race. It really has been a long time. I've been much more consistent with F1, and certainly the last 4 or 5 years IMSA. But I love I love F1, and it was before the Drive to Survive, but that certainly helped fuel it even more. But I will agree with you though. Listen, when Lewis was dominating, at least he had people that was close to him. Every race,
was there?
Every race
know.
wasn't so easy. Some races were, but he had Valtteri there. He had, I think it was Jensen Button as well. So he had other guys that were there that were competing. Nico, the guys that were competing that were up to his level. So he had to win. He really had to win. And then he had Max, of course, right? The year that he should have won his 8th, but got screwed out of it.
Man,
I don't want to talk about it. But that should have been his 8th. Max was the only one who could have benefited from that ridiculousness. Yeah. Max earned the right to be there.
He did.
And he did a great job.
Yep.
But ever since then, they have been so far ahead of everybody that I used to get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would watch the races, and I'd be texting my buddy Todd, Mirza, and John, and we'd all text, you up? Yep, we're up. It's been 3 years, and I just haven't done it. I'll watch the races on YouTube. I'll watch the recap of the race. Yep. And then if it looks like a good race, then I'll go watch the race because I record all of them.
Yeah.
So then I'll go watch the race because now they're just so boring. Now I've been watching more again now because now you're seeing McLaren really doing well.
Yeah.
Lando and
this last one was the Austria. Was it Austria? The last one?
Yeah, Piastri.
Where
you get
what Max and
Max and Lando. Yeah, they destroyed each other's cars.
Yep.
Like idiots, but yeah, I was happy to see McLaren. I'm happy to see McLaren up there.
Yeah,
up there with Ferrari, but still nobody can match the pace of Red Bull. When the Red Bull engineer leaves and or the aerodynamics guy, and he goes to, I think he's going to Ferrari with.
Oh, have they announced? I didn't know they announced
I
yet.
don't think they've announced, but that's where they're saying he's going to go. So if that's where he goes, that's going to be a blow for freedom for Lewis.
Well, and they're going
to
the new changes happen in 26, something like that. They have to redo the car. So, yeah, wherever that guy goes, they definitely have probably a big advantage.
Yeah.
I would love to see just closer, tighter. That's why I think when I watch IMSA, Like it's a lot. There's no runaway. Like
No.
I mean, so I enjoy that type of racing
Yeah.
better. But
Well, his name is Adrian Newey. That's his name.
oh
It's like Monaco. Like I've been to Monaco as well. I've walked the track for most of it, and Monaco it's very storied. It's very beautiful. It is the most boring race.
it is. You
Because
get
whoever
pole.
gets pole
I know.
pretty much wins the race.
Yep.
Unless they make
Unless
a
you
very
s-
glaring error
Yep.
or have an issue with the car. Other than that, they're going to win the race. It's
Yep.
going to be statistically that's what's going to happen. So it's a very boring race. I don't even watch it anymore because it's just so boring.
Yeah.
They need to widen the roads. They need to make it where it's a lot more interesting.
I don't know how they can do it though.
I don't think so
mean,
either.
it's
It's just the roads are the roads.
it's yep.
Maybe change it. But yeah, they got to figure out a way to make it where there's some areas you can't overtake and make it where it's a more interesting race. But they probably won't.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Uh,
But also, so the other thing too is I grew up at dirt tracks because my dad raced dirt tracks. So, I remember my dad racing at East Bay Raceway. And every Sunday morning, we'd get up in the morning, we'd go outside, and his racetrack, or rather his Gremlin, has got caked on mud.
oh my gosh, the gremlin.
Dude is a Gremlin with
Oh
a,
my
with a
gosh.
Chrysler motor in it and a straight six.
my gosh.
As with I think he had like Chevy rocker arms. I mean, it's something they made in a garage, and he did pretty well. He was never a top winning guy, but he was always top 10. I think the best he finished higher than 10, but the best he ever did in terms of he qualified like 24th. He made his way up to 10th one time. I mean, but this was not a job. It was more
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
But it was a great memory for my brother and I because we would in the morning we had to go outside. We had to rinse off the car. So
From the night before.
from the night before,
Yeah.
So and we'd gather all the mud, deep dish,
Oh, my gosh.
tires. So we'd grab all the mud and throw it at each other. My mom and dad would be mad at us because we're throwing
Of
stuff.
course.
Sometimes we and they didn't care if we got dirty because we'd hose each other off before we go in the house. But they get mad because a lot of times the stuff would end up on the front porch or on a window or something because we're just throwing wild like idiots. But it was a lot of fun, man. I just really enjoy that. It's a great memory. It was cool. My brother and I got the opportunity to drive on that track, and I got some pictures of him and I in a dirt car going around that track.
That's
being
cool.
taught how to drive that. It's actually a really cool picture. It's got him, me, my dad, and my grandfather, all of us in racing suits at a dirt track.
Oh, that's cool.
Next to our cars. It was a lot of fun. So
I never had that. My dad never raced. He grew up riding motorcycles, as did my grandfather, and so I got into it. But never got to go to a place where he was racing. Now my kids did. I mean, my son, he definitely remembers growing up going to races with me, but I never got to do that with my dad, unfortunately.
yeah.
But I do want to say back to your comment about Indy. I used to think the same thing. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going around. So yes, it takes talent.
Absolutely.
You can't. No one can just do it, right? It takes talent to be
I
able.
couldn't do it.
NASCAR, Indy. I don't care if you're going in an oval. When the Netflix series came out about Indy, and they talked about all that goes into the car and all the calculations, and I was like, okay, this is what it opened my eyes as to. Yes, you need to be talented, but holy freaking cow, that's what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
At
for
the
sure.
speeds, you're talking less than an inch away from the wall in order to get the speed. And I was just like, okay, yeah, this is maybe I was a little naive to think, but now I have much greater respect for the ability. And this last win at Indianapolis, I forgot the guy's name. Did you watch that race?
Joseph Newgarden.
Newgarden, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
on the outside.
On turn
everything
4. Yeah.
didn't have solid line. That's kind of loose stuff out there. I mean, oh my god, yeah, that's pretty impressive. So much respect to the Indy guys.
Oh, for sure.
But
no disrespect to any one of them. Did you see? Talk about doing some crazy stuff on the outside. A couple years ago, and I can't think the guy's name now.
oh, in NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Oh my
where
gosh.
he ran around the edge.
Yes.
He said his brother.
He went from like 10th to 3rd or something like
and
that.
he had to get into 4th place in order to get
Is that what it
qualified
was?
for the
Yes.
final, for like the final 4 or whatever. And he barely made his way. I think he passed Denny Hamlin like right at the line because he basically when he, as the kids say, he yeeted it around the corner, around
my
turn
gosh.
3 and 4 by just putting it on the wall and matting the throttle. He said he and his brother used to do that on whatever PlayStation 2 NASCAR game or whatever PlayStation game they were playing. And that's insane. And you look at it, you're like, that's crazy. It's also brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was never going to happen again in all of NASCAR.
Nope.
They're never going to allow that to happen.
No, they put a rule in right after
They put
that.
a rule in, I think, before the next race.
Yes.
It's not happening again.
You would think that after...
But even the drivers are like, oh my God. You listen to the commentators. Like, what is going on here? He just kind of shoves his way to the front.
I know.
That was nuts. I mean, that's got some stones. The man has some stones.
To think about what's impressive, I mean, yes, that was impressive. But for me, I thought was more impressive is how did you even think about, like, hey,
at the last second.
Literally at the last second, hey, I'm going to slam in the wall and I'm just going to rail it and it's going to propel me up past all these other people. Like, that's impressive to be thinking. Like, you're not just a driver, right? You're thinking strategy about, and you're in the car driving 200 miles an hour. Yeah, that was, you would think that after how long they've been racing NASCAR, that they would have rules that cover every single thing. And this guy whips the sucker out and like, oh, no, there's a new rule coming.
Yeah, it's, I watched that thing over and over.
I know it, I did too.
Just going, man. He just went, yep, we're doing this.
Oh, well, I'm going to destroy this. I'm going to destroy the car. But
he trusted the car was going to be there for him at the end. And it was, marginally.
That was crazy. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Anything else on the what race stories?
I don't think I got anything else on
series?
that. No,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good on that.
So I had the other one that's talking about how we get into cars, but I think that could take us a lot longer.
Yeah,
that's probably the whole
how to get into
how we got into kind of our history and yeah.
I know my story would probably take an entire episode.
All right, we'll do that next time.
The whole whole background, but I could do my story. I could do my story about the Blackwing though.
Yeah, do that
because that was pretty cool. December 2021 or January 2022. It was somewhere during the holidays, so I don't. Maybe it was in December. Yeah, I remember they were advertising for the Super Bowl, so I think it was in December. I'm sitting in my office. Cheryl comes in to the office and said, "I think I want a Blackwing," and I'm like, "What the heck?" I honestly had no idea what a Blackwing was, and she's like, "I saw this really cool commercial, this Cadillac," and I'm like, Cadillac. Now, I hadn't followed Cadillac in a long time. My recollection of Cadillacs is like the old stuff, right?
So you didn't even know about the V's at the time?
No,
really.
I mean, I'd seen. Let me take that back. I'd seen the ATS V. I had seen that. I had a buddy that was who bought one, so I do remember that, and that was a pretty cool, sporty coupe car, right? That was about my only knowledge of Cadillac. I had not followed them at all. So she's like, it's this commercial. So next time the commercial came on, I went out there to watch it. And I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. She's like, yeah, I'd like to get that. And I want the manual. Now, I love a manual. I have a manual car. I love a manual. I started my driving on a manual. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, me too.
That's pretty cool. So I'll go back to my office and I'll look online and, pretty much everything is, orders are taking forever, right? I mean, the back order is like months and months and months and months long. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this might not happen. It could take forever. I mean, I had other cars on order that took my first C8. I waited 2 or 3 years. I'm like, yeah, this might be the same thing. This might be a multi-year wait. So I did a lot of research. I'm like, oh, this is a really cool car. And that was about it. Oh, it was December because January, the first Cars and Coffee at Griot's in January, which would have been, the 1st through the 6th, whatever that first Saturday is. I go there and
why'd you go there? Like, what made you want to go to that?
Once I got into the car scene, I started researching, different events and stuff. And then I'd known about Griot's probably for 30 years. I knew about Griot's, but I'd never I didn't know they had car events at Griot's.
So
But
that was
once
the first car event you went to at Griot's?
was that my first one? No, it wasn't. I know it wasn't because I'd taken some of my other vehicles there. I go to Rio's, and it was cold. It's January. It wasn't raining, but it was cold out. So I'm there. I park. I'm walking around. Your car was there. John's car was there, and there might have been another car. I don't remember, but I do remember the blue one and the white one. And so you weren't in the car. John was sitting in the car with a heater on. I'm like, I'm going to go talk. I want to know about the vehicle, right? You go to Cars and Coffee, go talk to people about cars. I waited on him thinking that, hey, he's going to get out of his car, right? Because this was like after 8, so it had already, quote unquote, officially started. And so I'm like hanging around, you know. He never gets out of the car because it's cold, I guess. So he didn't get out of the car. And I'm like, oh, man, I guess I'll go over and talk to him in his car. I'm like, I don't want to bug the guy because there was somebody else in the car, you know.
Yeah.
And so I waited and waited. He never got in the car. So I'm like, ah. So I walk over there, tap on the window. He rolls the window down. I'm like, hey, could I ask you some questions about your car? And he's like, yes, right?
I know what that look is. I know what that face is. I know exactly how he did it. He jumped out of the car. Yeah.
Before I knew it, I had a brochure and a card and all kind of stuff, right?
Of course you did.
I love John. And it was perfect because John told me so much information about the Blackwing that I had no idea, right? I'm brand new to the Cadillac stuff. And so John just gave me this whole wealth of treasure trove.
He dated up his hard drive on you.
Man, yeah. He just plugged that USB
and Sewell and everything else too, right?
We get done talking about the stuff, and I'm like, hey, my wife wants to get one, and she wants a manual. And he got really excited. He's like, okay, you need to go talk to Dustin. You need to talk to him. So he gave me his contact. So this was on a Saturday. So Monday, I fire off an email to Dustin. Hey, here's my situation. My wife's interested in this car. I'm brand new. I realize it appears there's weights. What's going on? He writes me back, and he's like, hey, yeah, we'll put you on a list. You know, we'll get you whenever we get you. I'm like, okay. We go on, and then Cheryl's still interested in the car. Like, she mentioned it again, maybe the next weekend or something. She mentioned it again. And so I'm like, she has a big birthday coming up. This would be a cool surprise. I tell Dustin, hey, if there's any way you can get me the vehicle by her birthday, which is in May, that would be a huge thing for me to be able to do this. And he's like, well, let me see what we can do. All right. So this was January. So February, he calls me and is like, hey, do you want carbon fiber? No. Like, my wife could care less about carbon fiber stuff. He said, well, all that's on constraint, so people are passing it over, so your number's up. I was like, holy, really? He's like, yeah, we can get you go in this month of February. You go in. So I'm like, February, March, April. Oh, man, I'm going to get this car before the thing. So at this point, I didn't think it was going to happen before then, but now it's going to happen. So I'm like, okay, I got to get the car without her knowing it. All the logistics now are like, crap, I got to figure this out quick. So place the order with Dustin. I covertly ask her questions about the vehicle without trying to give away. I'm trying to spec it out. I get that stuff kind of specced out. I place the order. So now I've got to figure out how I'm going to pay for it. Because if you recall back then, interest rates were stupid low. Yep. So I'm not using my money.
No.
I can get, I think it was like a 1.9, right? Super low. So called the bank, a couple different banks. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Most banks will not lend money if you're having someone else on the note if they're not aware of what's going on, right? I'm like, well, I could forge, right? Electronically, I could forge her stuff, but probably shouldn't do that. I mean, I could get away with it, but if something ever happened, it'd be not so good. And I don't condone people doing that at all, right? So I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I'm like, okay, I tell you what.
This podcast alone condones going fast, not not electronic theft and forging documents electronically. But we do condone going really, really fast all the time.
On a track.
Yeah, clearly.
On the track. So the bank, I'm like, okay, look, how about let's just put me on there. It's going to be her vehicle, but let me put me on there. So I set up a second email account so that nothing would come through because we have a joint email account. So I set up a separate one so that everything would route through there, which that came in, that kind of hosed me. Maybe I'll tell it or not, but that kind of hosed me with GM on how they have the rewards thing set up.
Oh, yes, I can see that. Yeah.
That kind of hosed me, and so they had to do some backroom stuff to get that figured away. But so I get a second account, I do all the stuff back and forth, I'm doing all the paperwork, and the car gets built. The car gets built in March. Just freaking awesome. I'm going to have the car. She have a big party. It's a big surprise. We had a ton of people over for her big birthday. Like lots of people were here. This is going to be awesome. Like I'm going to be the best husband in the world, right? You know, I'm going to have a gold medallion hanging around my neck.
What, sat in Michigan for like 6 weeks? If I recall,
Dude,
it sat there for a while.
It sat in Michigan for more than 3 months. 3 months it sat there.
I remember. I didn't remember how long it. But by then I met you. We started hanging out, doing shows together, and then it became my question: what's going on with the car? And I don't know. It's still sitting there. So I knew it was a while, but I didn't recall it was 3 months.
It was 3 months.
Wow.
It sat there. I'm having to keep all this quiet, right? So you guys knew. I'm like, don't say anything to the wife. Don't want her to know.
Did you post it on Facebook one time?
No.
I thought you posted it on Facebook or something.
Oh, you know what? I did.
Cheryl doesn't do Facebook?
She doesn't do that. No.
Yeah, so she wouldn't know.
She wouldn't know. But maybe I did. Maybe someone asked a question. Maybe I deleted it. But yeah, I was being super quiet. And so it's sitting there. And what happened is that I think more and more cars got surrounding it, right? So it's there, but then it got surrounded. And so then cars that got built after mine are leaving the factory on shipment before mine do. So that says that, hey, it got stuck somewhere. All these other cars surrounded it.
So instead of FIFO, it was LIFO.
Right, exactly. It is totally LIFO.
Last in, first out.
Yeah, the LIFO was what was happening.
Yeah, that's what was happening,
That's
right.
what was happening.
Yeah.
It finally got delivered. It got shipped up here. It got delivered, I want to say August, I think is when we finally got the car. It got built in March. We got the car in August. Wow. And so... So anyway, I got it. Dustin hooked me up with a really cool bow, one of those big, Lexus type bows. You see. Yeah. Happy birthday! Actually, I have it in the closet. Put that there and then surprised her when she got home. So it's kind of funny how the connections, right? She sees a commercial about the car. I get super excited because it's a manual car and it's a high performance sedan. Holy cow! I had
you learned something new about Cadillac.
Brand new, like totally, like surprised me. I meet John, who then data dumps on me, then gets me connection to Sewell, and it's just how all this stuff took place in such a short amount of time, and introduced me to a whole nother pocket of automotive that I had no idea about.
And a whole new family of friends.
A whole bunch of different stuff going. And it was, for me, it actually worked out really well because when I talk about, how I got into cars, I left one world and have been trying to figure my way into a new world. And so that was one of the catalysts to kind of get that moving. So, yeah, that was a really cool story. And she was surprised. Like, she had no idea whatsoever.
It's a long secret to keep, dude. That's a long secret to keep.
Oh my gosh,
man!
And there was a couple of times when I thought it was going to fall apart because the bank is like, well, I don't even know why the banks care, honestly, but because I told her it was going to be hers, the fact that I'm buying it and I'm putting it in my name, and the loan is through me or for me, but it's her vehicle. Like, who cares whose vehicle it? Like. It almost fell apart. They almost pulled the plug, and then so
like your husband has never bought a a car for his wife before.
I know it's like
the most ridiculous.
it is super ridiculous. Now, I went.
Or wife bought a husband for a husband car. It
Well,
happens.
It happens,
Ish.
right? But I think it was, I went through a credit union. I won't mention a name, but I went through a credit union, and there are smaller credit unions, so maybe that's abnormal for them, right? Maybe it's not normal, but I was like, this cannot fall apart. I mean, we're so close.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But in the end, it all worked out, and so it's great, and love the car. It's phenomenal. Cadillac did a great job. So yeah.
So my way. I'll give my quick Blackwing story too. So I went. Mine actually started back in 2012. I went to go buy a 2012 ATS. I was in Florida, and I had a Infiniti G35, and
yeah,
I wanted white.
Okay.
I wanted a white ATS.
So you had a G35,
Uh-huh.
and you give me crap about the Nismo.
Oh yeah. Why
Okay.
wouldn't I? I like your car, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Okay.
I'm going to bust your balls about it.
Now I feel better now
Yeah.
knowing that you had a. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, go ahead.
I love. By the way, that car I bought from Carmax for $24,000. I bought it in 2009. It was a 2006. Had 24,000 miles. I paid $24,000 on it, and it smelled like it just came off the lot. It was It was the best financial purchase I've ever made in a car, and I love that car. I made money on it when I sold it back to Carmax 4 years later, or whatever it was. So I go to the dealership, and they said they had the white with the red leather loaded V6 that I wanted. I get there, they're like, "Oh, we don't have it." So then they go, "All right, well," I said, "Well, do you have a black with the red leather?" "Yeah, we have a black with red leather." "Bring that one out. Let me look at that." "Oh, we don't have that, but we can order it. We can order it, and it'll cost you only $900 for us to ship it in." I'm like, never mind. Pound sand. This was a Sunday night. I told my wife, said, "We're leaving. Take me to the Mercedes dealership." Now, Sunday night at 6:30, they're closed. So I'm walking around really annoyed, and I don't have a car. But I was going to take my wife's car if I didn't have one, because she was staying home raising the kids. I could take it for a few days and go to work. So this guy named Jerry comes out, and he's the sales guy, and he's like, "Heck, can I help you?" Now, they're closed now.
Okay.
And I told him what was going on. He goes, "So you don't have a car?" I go, "No." He goes, "You have good credit?" I go, "I have impeccable credit." And he said, "So if we can get you into a car today, you would take one home?" I said, "Yeah."
The dealership is closed.
It's closed. And
That service.
he said, "Okay." So he gets up and he goes, and they literally flip the lights back on.
No way.
And the general manager's there. He brings me a couple cars. We go for a test drive, and I end up buying one. So I bought a Mercedes C250. And I have a whole story about that whole thing. I had two Mercedes C250s within a week. Gas tank issue. And they replaced the car for me. Jerry was magnificent, by the way.
Wow.
So I didn't buy the Cadillac because of that whole thing, and then I bought that from Jerry. Then I moved up here, brought it with me. Eventually sold that, bought another Mercedes, but I tried to buy one from Jerry and have him ship it to me.
Oh, yeah.
He was amazing. Anyways, I'm glad that it worked out the way it did, because when I finally decided I wanted to build a hot rod again, well, Liz goes, "Well, I know you want to build a factory 5 car, but we don't have the space in the garage. Our garage isn't as big as the Florida one. Why don't you just buy one that's already like this? You've been looking at the V's for a while. We had test driven a Gen 2 CTS-V and ATS-V, and we liked the ATS-V better. More technology. I wanted to do some tracking, and so I ended up buying it. I got it from Cadillac of Bellevue, and I love that car. Great car. Things about it I hated, but for the most part, loved the car, and that's what was my first V car. Well, John introduced me to our friend Marissa. He wanted to know how you track. He wanted me to data dump everything about a car. What do I love about the car? What do I not love about the car? And I knew he was working on a new car. I didn't know what he was doing. He didn't share with me anything. I didn't need to know. But I data dumped him on all what I loved about the car, how often I track it, sent him a bunch of videos. So that was my first meeting with him. And then we just talked fairly often afterwards, and then we became friends and stopped talking only about cars. At some point, he says, "Gene, you're going to want the new Blackwing." I'm like, "Nah, I'm going to keep my ATS-V." He was like, "You're going to want the new car." I mean, actually, he didn't call it Blackwing at the time because it hadn't been announced. But he said, "You're going to want the new car." So I'm going to say, I can't say anymore. You're going to want it. You're going to get this car. I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm keeping this car." By then, I'd realized, he's the project manager of the new what became the Blackwings. But I said, "No, I'm keeping the car." He said, "Trust me, you're going to trade it in. I'm just telling you right now." So then they launched the Blackwing.
Listen to me, Gene.
I know. And they come out with your color, the red tint coat, when you
Yeah.
bought for Cheryl. And I'm looking at this going, oh, it's got the down planes. It's got the carbon fiber down planes and the big fin in the back. And, oh, yeah, he's right. I probably do want to buy it. But then I wasn't 100% sold until, I decided to buy it. I did. And then February 1st of 2021, they did this reservation thing where for $1,000, they would, like, you watch a video and then at 4 o'clock each PST, you could place an order and try to be one of the first 250 people to put a reservation in for a Blackwing, for a 5V or a 4V. The 5V was done in 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Wow.
One of our friends, Todd, he did get one. Man. John tried to buy one.
Oh.
But he actually tried to. He put in a reservation for both.
Oh.
But the problem was, I can't remember exactly what happened, but he had some error on the first one, and he didn't realize he didn't complete the transaction until after the fact because he was going to order both.
Oh.
You know, John wants
Yeah.
them, and I love that about him. So, but he ended up with the 4. Now I've got my reservation for the 4, and I hadn't seen all the colorways other than just a
How
red
long?
one.
How long do you know how long it the time frame? You said 3 minutes for the 5.
Oh, I think they said it was like 7 hours, 8 hours, something like that.
Okay, so
for the
not
4s.
immediately. So
Wasn't
if you
immediate
wanted
for-
one,
yeah.
you as long as you're the first day, you could have got one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first day you could have got one.
Okay.
It wasn't as fast, but it still did sell out.
Yeah.
When I was going to get the red tint coat, full like my car now, just red tint coat. So then the colors come out, and I had heard Merza knows I love like Miami blue, so he's like, hey. The colors come out soon to make sure you're looking at them. I'm like, cool. Again, no hints. He's like freaking Fort Knox. He didn't say anything. He's not supposed to, and wisely so. But he's like, you're going to like the colors. Nebulous statement. Of course I'm going to like the colors. And then the blue comes out. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I like the color. I'm going to get it. When they come out. So that's what I ordered. Now, Liz wanted the red tint coat. I wanted the blue. So we had our youngest son, Timothy, come over, and we let him pick. At least that's what my wife thought. She didn't find out until last year that by the time he came over to pick, I already ordered the car a week earlier, the color I wanted.
So
She's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." It didn't matter what he said. He could have said black and convinced you to go to black, and I still would have got a blue car.
So okay, I want to back up here.
All right, back up.
When you brought Timothy into this discussion,
Uh-huh.
was the discussion around the table, hey Liz, you want one color, I want another color. If Timothy chooses
Yes.
your color, we'll go with that?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Now, but I also I gambled there because I knew Timmy liked the blue. He really liked the blue.
Oh,
So I knew he liked the blue. So to me, it was a very low
It was a
percentage
calculated
gamble.
risk.
Exactly right. It was a low percentage gamble. It was a calculated risk. I
Oh,
figured I was
man.
going to win that one. But she was like, you actually, I'm like, yeah, I did that. She was like, good. Now I know for next time. I'm like, why did I tell her? So yeah, that was probably stupid of me to mention that I did that.
That's
But
funny.
so yeah, that's why I ended up getting the blue. And then when they delivered them, they shipped them to Sewell because we both bought our cars from Sewell, right? You bought your car from
Yep.
Sewell. We sent a lot of our friends.
Yeah,
to
a lot of
Sewell.
people.
They're amazing.
They
Blackwing
are.
King and Dustin, Sadala and his team, and Blake, amazing. They shipped the cars over. They picked them up on a Thursday night, and then they said it'd take about a week. No problem. Well, I get a call Monday morning or Monday midday, something like that. Yeah, probably midday. And it was the truck driver, and he said, "Hey, Mr. Hawks, I've got your car. We'll be delivering in a week, or I'm sorry, in about an hour and a half." I said, "You mean a week? A week and a half?" He's like, "No, we're in an hour and a half." I said, "Wait a minute, you just picked them up Thursday night. They said it'd take a week." He went, "Yeah, we live in Renton, so we drove through the night. Him and his partners drove through the night." So I call up, John, because I said, "Well, they're going to deliver mine to my house. Mine was the last one in, so it was first one out." And I said, "John, you got to come over. They're going to deliver them to my house. If you don't come get it, you'll get your car tomorrow."
Oh,
He's like, "Oh, I got to figure that piece out." I said, "Bro, Uber to your girlfriend's house, pick
Yeah.
her up, Uber to my house. You got to ride home." So that's what he did. And so we both took delivery of our Blackwings from
That's
my
cool.
house. Yeah, that was really cool. I've never ordered a car before. I've got lots of new cars.
Yeah.
Probably had 22 or 23 of them in the past 25 years. my wife and I, but I've never ordered a custom car that was mine. I've never had a collector series.
Yeah.
So John's got number 34, I have number 35.
How did that work out that you guys got back-to-back numbers? Is it just happenstance?
I imagine because they ordered ours at the same time. They know we're part of the Cadillac V Club. We ordered them from Sewell. They were shipping them to the same place. It probably made sense, and I believe Cadillac was part of that as well. So I believe they just there's smart scheduling. Let's build them together, ship them to Sewell together.
That was cool.
Ship them from Sewell to us together, because it just made logistical sense, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So it was really cool. I mean, and then we actually called Megan, and she's in charge of the marketing for the Blackwings.
Yeah.
We called her from my kid's high school because we went to the parking lot there at Tahoma High, took some pictures, and we called her and talked to her about it because it was so cool. We just gave her a call. And it's gracious because she was, 8 or 9 o'clock at night for her to take the call from us. But it was really cool that she picked up and she heard our excitement. And then we did a small cruise. We didn't want to go crazy because I needed to get the car PPF'd first. But yeah, so that's how I got my Blackwing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. I love that thing, man.
It's such good cars.
They really are.
Yeah, definitely good cars. Before we wrap up, did you put anything down? Did you contact anybody about, hey, there might be something new coming?
I did send a note out to Sadala, and I said, put me on the list for the Le Mans Petit Bateau edition, which is now. I said, I'm not committing to buy it yet, but I want to be on the list. And he responded back with, said, you're the first one.
Okay.
Perfect. The challenge with that car is I'm going to end up paying essentially probably, I imagine, $15,000 or more for essentially the same car I have today.
Yep.
It depends on what the car, it depends on what they make the MSRP at, because there's no more performance than what I have today. So
it's just interior.
It's just interior, and I love the paint, and I love the blue carbon fiber, but it's a carbon fiber clear lacquer. All those things we can do.
Yeah.
We can do that with PPF. We'll see if I end up buying it.
Yeah,
but
too
I really
bad they
do
did.
like it a lot, though. I mean, it's a really beautiful. It's a dark. It's a matte gray with the blue accents. It's just really unique.
Yeah, it looks good.
But I mean, financially, especially with the cost of money today versus what it was 3 years ago when I got my car, it almost doesn't make sense to do it.
Yeah, if you didn't have one already,
oh, for sure,
right, then okay, that makes sense to go after that. Or if they had tweaked it in some way, right? Because they've got what's the 5 called? What's the
Monster?
Yeah, they had the
101 of those.
Yeah,
only 50 of the 4s.
They had the opportunity of maybe tweaking like some performance numbers, right? Because of the heritage there. If they had have said, hey, we're going to bump it, I don't know, something, not even significant, but maybe like another 50, 60, 70,
If they put 25 on it, I'd be happy.
If they had done something on it in addition to, then yeah. But if you already have one, that's a tough.
It is really tough. I mean, I like it a lot. I think it's really unique. I like it that there's only 50 of them, but I'm not a fan of the additional cost.
Yeah.
And I know my wife is not going to be either. I mean, I can sell. I don't know if I can sell that. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Cool beans. Well,
that's it, man.
Sounds like a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Good deal. Well, thanks much, Gene. I guess we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
All right, later.
See you.